To the audience, people, let's see the answers popping up. Come on. We have a lot of talks about Shiv Puran and Vishnu Puran, a lot of things that should give you, okay, each clipping being a very respectable answer. Keep it coming, people. Buddha, okay, an ascetic life. Buddha, okay. I love this. Shiva, that's what I was waiting for. No, not really. Okay. Shiva, Buddha, Lord Hanuman, Jai Bajrangbali. Okay. And okay, so I have few answers, of course. I have few answers. So now tell me why Shiva? So I would like Haritosh to unmute and tell us why Lord Hanuman, Haritosh.
Oh, I thought people had heard enough from me, but anyways, I love Lord Hanuman because of his service, the service leadership that he shows, the way he, he's in love with his Lord Rama, and then he goes to any extent to help Lord Rama, and the whole story of, even though he's a hero, he doesn't know he's a hero, and somebody has to tell him that, no, you are a hero and you can do that. So that is another aspect. So.
Yeah,
okay,
I do agree with Haritosh, because if you see a Rama and Sita photo frame, you will see Hanuman there, right?
Yeah.
You will definitely see it. Now, Rama and Sita is a family photo, right? And in a family photo, there is another person. So you can just imagine how powerful that personality is who can enter a family photo. So that's why Hanuman is great.
Yeah, very beautiful reason quoted for that matter. Very nice. Let's hear it more. So somebody said Shiva. Okay, I'll give Uma Shankar a break for now because I know I'm his favorite. Anil Jalali, why do you think Shiva? Anil Jalali, if you can unmute yourself and make yourself visible, nothing like it. So why Shiva apart from liking me as a host? Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, this question I thought to myself quite some time, but there's a natural affinity. I don't know the reason for that natural affinity. Maybe it's because of past life connection somewhere. So inbuilt natural affinity to somebody, when you meet somebody and you feel that there's a personal affinity with that person, you can't explain it, but it's there, something like that. So you can't explain it.
All right, I particularly get that feeling, Anil. That's completely understandable. So Rahul Sharma, why Buddha for you? Rahul Sharma, our organizer, why Buddha for you? Okay, so since Rahul is not hearing,
I feel Buddha, you need to find yourself, and as he says, Buddha mentioned very well, doubt everything, find your own light. So I feel very close to it. Okay, maybe I don't believe anyone, but we need to find our own light, own way, through own learnings, own experiences. That's my take on it.
Okay, very nice. Very deep.
Mantra is Shiva Shiva.
Okay, I get that particularly. Shiva is in the air today, I'm sure. Yes, so for that matter, my favorite is also Shiva. And not only because I share the name, but because he is the calmest but has the capacity to destroy the world if need be. And that's two opposite qualities being put together in one strange being. So that's Shiva for you guys. Yeah, and now let us move on to the next segment. Okay, okay, but before that, let me tell you more about myself. I like Shiva. I can recite most of the Vedic hymns, but ironically, it's the Gurdwara I go to for finding solace if ever need be. I love actually their hailing of humanity as the best worship. Studying in a Christian school, I've learned those hymns and prayers by heart, and all those are so dear to me. And my favorite songs are still Sufi songs. And all these things make me feel good within. So that's why I follow all of them. So people, just in case, you know who's the right candidate to vote for, right? If I ever stand in the Lok Sabha elections. Yeah. Okay, jokes apart, why do you think we become hopeful amid hopelessness? How do you think the aura of a sacred place calms us? What is the reason for monks living so peacefully? Spirituality is indeed the answer. Now, to touch base upon one of my favorite topics, let's invite our panelists, Geetanjali, Mayoori, and Natasha. This panel will be moderated by Chetan. All right, am I audible? Audible? Yes? All right, so my Bluetooth just gave away. Okay. This panel will be moderated by Chetan Lakhera, who is currently working as an underwriting analyst. I really don't know what that is. Speaking in front of large audiences is something he really enjoys. Apart from that, he loves being around mountains and nature. He believes that spirituality has really helped him in overcoming the challenges of late. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, and let's welcome Chetan Lakhera.
Thank you, Shiva, for that wonderful introduction. Writing analyst is so yes. So hello and good evening to each one of you present here. In which we will be discussing about spirituality and its effects on our situations. And well, what a time, you know, when the entire world in a situation, when we are facing one of a pandemic, everyone is holed up in their respective homes. This session is truly a need of the hour. And to enlighten us, to make us more aware, we have three lovely ladies who will be throwing some light on faith, on humanity and spirituality. And I'm sure they will surely guide us from that light. So, yes, no, anything? Okay.
Your voice
Natasha, if you're...
yeah, so, yeah, can you repeat the last sentence?
Yes, I was saying that what a time to hold such a discussion when pulled up in their respective homes. And to conduct this session, we have three lovely ladies with us who will be surely taking us from darkness towards light. And can we all put a huge round of applause for our panelists, Natasha, Geetanjali, and Mayoori. So before hopping on the session, let me introduce the panelists. So first of all, Natasha. Natasha is a spiritual counselor, a writer, an author, a poet, and last but not the least, the balanced life expert. She has more than a decade of experience in the field of spiritual counseling. So can we all please put a huge round of applause for Natasha? All right. Our next panelist is Geetanjali. Geetanjali is someone who has been involved into meditation, and she has been taking meditation sessions since the last few years through her initiative, the Divine Alchemy. And this is a space for connecting with not only for ourselves, but also rejuvenating spiritually. What a great initiative, Geetanjali. Thank you so much. Can we all put a huge round of applause for Geetanjali?
Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not the least, Mukta is a mantra expert and an energy transformation coach with more than 20 years of practical experience in Sanskrit, mantras, and spiritual practice. And not only that, she has also created a modality called Mantradhwani, which can truly empower people inside and out. That was quite an achievement, Mukta. So glad. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. So let's hop on to the discussion. It is often said in Hindu texts that our mind is often referred to as a monkey. So my first question is to Geetanjali, that how spirituality can help in mastering one's mind, how we can control our flow of thoughts, or conquering our monkey. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chetan, for having me here for this discussion. And honestly, when we start talking about spirituality and how it helps, we need to know what spirituality is. Through my experience, I feel that everyone, most of us, have very different opinions and different ways of thinking what spirituality is for them. So for few people, every day getting up and getting into the rituals of the religions that they follow, going to the temple, doing the aarti, that too is a spirituality. For few, getting into the tantra or the mantra meditation is spirituality. And few refer to the techniques that we use to reach a certain stage as spirituality itself. But according to me, what I have experienced all through these years, I feel that spirituality is that state where you reach after all this has already happened. These are just the paths. And that state is the state where it's a merging. It's a merging of your mind, body, and heart, and the soul. It's that state of awareness, of that moment of awareness, where they call it, you die 1,000 deaths at that same moment, at that fraction of a moment, and you are rebirthing as well at that same fraction of a moment, right? So this sounds a little complicated, yeah. But it's very simple. It's basically you are harmonized because your mind, your body, and your soul, they're aligned. And that's why whenever it is harmonized and in a constant state of awareness, you are in that state of intelligence. And now, minded, this intelligence is a little different from intellect, right? And intellect, when we talk about intellect, we are just referring to the mental part, okay? But spirituality is greater. It encompasses your mind. It encompasses your bodily instincts as well. And it encompasses your feelings and your emotions as well, your heart. So it is that supreme intelligence. When you become aware and you are into that moment of awareness, that is what spirituality is. So, when you talk about the monkey mind, to control that monkey mind, when we, what I have learned through my experience, spirituality is never about controlling anything, especially your mind. Your mind is supposed to be the servant. It has to be the heart that has to do the major work. It has to be the heart that has to be open all the time to feel and to experience life. So when you start experiencing life to your totality, that is when everything becomes so aligned. Not just the mind. Mind is then, just a very small part of it. Mind automatically, I don't like using this term, control. It gets controlled because it automatically surrenders. Spirituality is about surrender rather than controlling anything. So when we start getting, start to experience life, we start feeling it, we become aware of so many different things, so many things that are happening, so many things that are happening within your body, all right? And not just the body, but also the outer environment, your immediate outer environment. And it is also that awareness of the inner self, the outer self, and also the constant exchange that is happening all the time, all throughout. So more you're dived into it, to this awareness, again, I feel that every person, everyone, everything in this world is very, very spiritual. It is like, the whole process of evolution is so spiritually evolving. So, but the more you're aware, more you're grounded into spirituality. So more you're grounded in this spirituality, there's, no problem of, controlling your mind or controlling your bodily instincts or controlling your feelings and emotions. Everything becomes so aligned.
Yes, truly. I think we all have that. We all have that sense of spirituality or all the qualities. It's just that spirituality helps in, polishing those things or nourishing those things.
Yes, it's
So I
about
think,
it's more about the awareness, because we are not aware of that potential that is underlying within ourselves. We're not aware about that. We are, so engrossed in the materialistic aspects of life, of maybe, earning a lot of money or to look better or to do so many things, everything, we want to do that. And we kind of ignore our inner world, the inner journey that is happening within ourselves. Because, the soul's purpose is sometimes very different from what our materialistic goals are. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it is very much aligned to it.
yes, that truly encapsulates all the things that I really wanted to get. So thank you so much, Geetanjali, for answering that. So my next question is for Mayoori. Geetanjali just said about materialistic things. So I just want to ask, can spirituality and all the worldly ambitions or, material things can go hand in hand? Can both of these go hand in hand? What do you have to
Yeah.
say?
Hi, Chetan. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. So I will keep it as terse as possible for the answer. Geetanjali actually very well encapsulated the fear of spirituality, why there is no control, there is no such thing as attainment, like capturing of some final aspect, which will suddenly make you be in a different space. You're already in that space. Okay. So extending from that, this two domain that we define as spirituality and materialistic thing, they are not so divided after all. There is a sort of union which is always happening, which is always telling us, for example, can we differentiate the breath which is yogic, the breath which is not yogic? Is there an answer to that? Is there a side which is spiritual and a side which is not spiritual?
I don't think so.
Yes, it is like this. So when you transcend these definitions, the only challenge for us to digest this is to have a holistic understanding of what spirituality is. Because people often think that you have to give up on something so concrete, which is making you less deserving to be available to a spiritual dump. Okay, which is why this whole ridicule or a feeling of alienation or somebody who's super special, etc., is created, which creates a distance between the two. When there is a distance, what happens? There is tension. When there is tension, there is always a lack. And spirituality is anything but a lack. So in my experience, what I tell people is, live your life as if every breath counts, because every breath does count. Every thought counts, because every thought does count. So in Vedas or in Upanishads, if you go back, they have very intelligently put these aspects, which we call materialistic and something spiritual, into purusharthas. What are purusharthas? Purusha arthas. Purusha is whole humanity together. Artha is the meaning. Okay. So if it is dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all compartmentalization has happened and all are in the ambit of spirituality itself. Isn't it wonderful? Like having $1 million rupee in your bank account is very spiritual because the motivation defines how spiritual you are. What are the means that you took to achieve that? And what do you do after that? So it is actually the definition of Purushartha, which is so important, rather than us distinguishing these two as separate. Because in the separation, we will always be torn apart. We will always feel not belonged. Can I have a domain, like can I have a garb which will suddenly make me spiritual and say, okay, I'll take this cloak out and I will suddenly become materialistic. This segregation will never let anybody be at peace. So which is why when you meet real masters or people who have walked the path, not just attained things from the books, you will see this, how do I say, fluidity. You cannot say they don't eat. You cannot not say that they don't eat. You cannot say they don't consume things the way everybody else consumes. It is not in the consumption that defines anybody spiritual or less spiritual. It is how they are, how their presence is, how they make way for their energy for the others. I hope that clarifies, and I will leave the way for the next questions and people to answer.
Yes. That was truly a new approach that was being shared. So thank you so much, Mukta. So my next question is to Natasha. So Natasha, it's a question for the young generation basically. So how faith and spirituality can be used to build a disciplined life?
Before moving to this question,
there's a lot of.
Sorry.
Yes, please continue.
Okay. Before moving to this question, I would like to add 2 points in the previous questions, one in Geetanjali's question and one is Mayoori's question. So one of my favorite point Geetanjali touched was surrendering. Surrendering, along with that, I would also like spirituality is about freedom. When you ask that, we have to control our mind, actually, we do not have to control our mind. We have to make it free. Spirituality is about freedom. And that freedom leads to the surrendering position. And in the second question, when you ask that to differentiate and to take both materialistic and spirituality together, the simple answer I would say is maintaining the balance and remaining detached from the materialistic things. For that, we have to remember we are not permanent on this earth. We are here to play our part. We all are playing our part. There is someone who has directed the script. We all are playing our roles according to the script written by the director, written by the writers, and we cannot change script up to an extent. And the evidence is so many of us has planned in 2019 lot of things to do in 2020 for our businesses. Many of us, I have heard they were talking, we will play 2020 for our business in 2020. But what happened? Corona came. So we need to understand these simple laws of universe, laws of life. There are some power that is working and we cannot change few things. We have to just accept them. That will lead us towards peace. Peace is not something that is outside. It is already there within us. It's our original nature, but we have forgotten it. And we have to emerge it back from within. For example, there is a box in your kitchen. For example, there is a box of some spice in your kitchen which you are not using regularly, and it has been moved back in the last slab of your kitchen, and you have forgotten that you have that. Am I right? Likewise, we have forgotten our original nature, that we are peaceful, loveful. We have to emerge it back and that this will lead us to live a life of detachment. This will lead us to live a life of freedom and anything what we are talking here. Spirituality means, for example, if we break this term, spirit plus reality. What is a spirit? I am the spirit. I am that energy. In our religious terms, we called it soul. In the terms of science, and we call it a spirit or the energy. So the reality of the spirit is called spirituality. So we have forgotten our reality and we have to emerge it back. Now, when you are saying about the faith, when we emerge our originality from within, everything will be in place. Faith, surrender, freedom, whatever you talk about.
All right. Thank you, Natasha.
If
Thank
I
you,
may
sir.
just add one more thing here. May I?
Yes.
So
yes, sure.
Please.
when we talk about controlling the mind, you know, spirituality, again, you know, quote unquote, if that's the word we use it, we need to let go of the mind. We need to rather indulge it so much so that we are able to reach that point that we start asking ourselves a little more deeper questions rather than just the mundane things that had been happening with us till now. We start asking ourselves that what is the cause and effect relationship? Why something is happening this way? And that's where the journey starts. That's where the awareness starts. And that leads us to, you know, start experiencing maybe more different techniques so that, you know, our soul is more aligned with the mind and the heart. Everything just merges there. And that's the point.
Thank you. Thank you, Geetanjali, for
And
again emphasizing.
as you talked about faith, Chetan, so in spirituality, we do things differently. You know, we first believe that yes, it's there. Then we experiment it. If it happens to you, then it's good for you. Otherwise, it is not. As Buddha said, do not believe it until you experience it.
True. True.
I would like to add something here as well about the mind, okay, since we were talking about it. There is a very beautiful description in Kenopanishad, which I would highly recommend to everybody, whoever is either looking for some answers. You don't need to label it as spirituality, okay? Because the moment we start labeling it, we start making it us versus you, okay? It's like, I am spiritually practicing practitioner and you are not. This divide itself takes you away from spirituality. You understand what I'm saying? So this quality of the mind is described as a narration between the guru and the shishya. Very interestingly, they go through. And one of the definitions where he says how to seek or how to come to the answer of this truth, the guru answers, Yan manasa na manute. Yan manasa na manute. Yena hur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam umupasate, which means the mind which knows how to acquire, how to rehash, how to reflect is not Brahman, or it's not spirit. The one because of which the mind gets this capacity of comprehension, reflection, comparison, whatsoever, different types of manas, that you
I think there is some connectivity issue with Mayoori. Until she joins back, our timer has already shown us a red card. So I have one last question, and and that last question is to Geetanjali. So Geetanjali, there's a person, Roberto Baggio. He's one of the world's greatest soccer players from Italy. And he said once that where my skills end, my faith begins. Now, how can this be explained to a layman or to a person who doesn't practice spirituality? And we only have 3 minutes.
Okay, so once again, we're labeling this
Yes.
term spirituality once again, which I'm totally against, because I feel that everything is spiritual here. It's just our journey. So where the skills end, the faith starts, right? So may I start now? So
Yes,
it's once
yes.
again that mind game, you know, when I just said that, you know, let the mind indulge in whatever it wants to, because ultimately what happens is, you know, we think of so many questions, so many things happening around the questions, and we need the answers, and we try our best to be, you know, best possibly related to everything. What happens? Ultimately, we just get exhausted, and we just, at that point of time, we just leave it. And when we leave it, when we surrender our mind, our mental things that are just happening, the mental thoughts, the activity that is happening, we surrender that cause and effect scenario automatically just starts. And that's where the faith starts happening. It's something like, you know, you have sown a seed of your thought in the subconscious. Probably you have thought that, you know, I want this, but along with that, there are hundreds and thousands of thoughts that are coming and entangling that small little seed, or that pure intention that you have laid. What is happening? That seed is actually not getting that space to grow, to happen automatically. Yes, we can, you know, water it. We can, you know, always help that thought to grow, to help us evolve into whatever the intention that we have sown. So, so many thoughts just entangle that pure intention that was there at the first place. The moment these thoughts, they go away, we surrender this mental activity, these thoughts just go away, the sprouts, they start coming out. It's as simple as that. And that's where the faith starts and begins. Because that's the law of nature. That's how the universe is working. And it is that supreme intelligence, this supreme intelligence, it's not just a personal thing, but it's a universal thing. And this universal thing is much, much, much more powerful than our single consciousness, our single intelligence.
Great answer. So I have one final question to each one of you. We'll finish it in 30 seconds. So the question is, how will you explain spirituality to a child in a line? We'll start with Natasha.
So
one line only.
Yeah, to align spirituality in a child, a parent has to understand the importance of spirituality. Then only it can derive. Children do what parents do, you know?
Exactly. Very thoughtful. So we'll move on to Mayoori. Your thoughts.
Okay, just one line. It's a Tamil quote. Yar yar Sivam, na neen Sivam. For the child which understands the love, when all the toys, all the chocolates, all the waffles, everything is exhausted, it just wants to get back to the mother. That unconditional pull, love is spirituality.
Great, very thoughtful. Geetanjali, one line.
live, live your life, experience your life, and you'll definitely, I think that's what is spiritual, because you've given this life, you've been gifted this life to be lived, and that's how it should be. It's not just go haywire anywhere, just live it with our full mind, body, and soul integration.
Yes. So live it with your full mind, body, and soul. That's the message we all will leave for all the viewers. And I'm sorry we have exceeded for 2 minutes, and I would like to hand over the session back to the MC for the evening, Shiva. Thank you so much. Or is this Bhavya?
I would love taking it back, but I would not take the
Okay.
limelight anytime away from her.
Okay, so sorry.
Yeah, so I love the panel discussion anyways, if you take about my feedback.
Thank you so much. So over
Okay,
to
everybody.
Bhavya.
Shall we take leave then?
Thank you so much, moderator Chetan. That was really a wonderful